And Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Of course, don't forget our newest sponsor to promote our schools, secure our future, Pacific Office Automation. They're now in Boise. Pacific Office Automation, problem solved, pacificoffice.com. Joining us now, a best-selling author, Travis Smith, talk a little bit more about superheroes and supervillains. Good to have you back with us, sir.
Thanks for having me back on the show this morning, Kevin.
You know, the author of Superhero Ethics. What type of superhero would Donald Trump be?
You're not the first to ask. My one instinct is to say there's a lot of Hulk smash in him.
Right.
And his fans and his critics alike, I think, agree with that. The main difference is the Hulk just wants to be left alone, but when you listen to the president, he'll always tell you he's got so many friends everywhere he goes.
Right. I'm still trying to figure that out. I guess it would be Hulk smash. Anybody else, the two most popular characters would have to be Batman or Captain America.
Captain or Spider-Man or Superman, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yet, there we have it. So let's talk a little bit about how superheroes have become such a dominant part of our culture with all these Marvel hits that seem to churn out every 3 or 4 months.
Right. There is a lasting appeal to these characters. Superman's been around since the 30s, but in the recent decades, last 10 to 20 years, their popularity has soared among the general populace, in good part thanks to these blockbuster movies. Now that we've got the technology to make the special effects look realistic, we don't just have to draw their adventures in 4-color on newsprint, but now we can see them in a semi-realistic fashion on big screens, and that's made them so that not only the nerds and the geeks know these stories, but even the cool kids at school know their stories now, Kevin.
Well, and Dr. Smith, the funny thing about this is that most of these movies are just, screenplays of popular comic book series from back in the day.
Often that is the case. In fact, comic book fans prefer it when the movies are sort of true to the origins and the major storylines that they're familiar with from their comic books, and when they deviate, like the Venom movie that's currently in the theaters, the fans tend to gripe more. Comic book fans are notoriously excellent at complaining and criticizing each other. I like to say that telling each other that we're wrong is our Olympic sport.
And that was before social media really became prevalent.
And now the entire world are acting like comic book fans on a Wednesday afternoon at the store, yelling at each other for being wrong and bad. Yes.
Can comic books, are they as popular as they once were, considering we live in such a digital world today?
No, they're not. The actual print comic books in the form that they appear in your local comic book store week after week aren't quite as popular, although the digital platform has allowed for a new medium for them to be sold on. So there's increasing audiences that do have them on their iPads and they're scrolling left and right instead of flipping pages.
Is there more to comic books than just entertaining? Do they teach us real-life lessons?
That's the point of my book, Superhero Ethics, which is to say there's always been an understanding that, ever since ancient Greece, right, that every society has hero stories. And hero stories are revealing. They're telling. They tell us about the kind of people that we think we are when we're at our best, or they tell us the kind of people we think we should be if only we were better. And sometimes they can be used to inspire people to actual heroism, but I look at them more metaphorically in my book and just say, what kind of qualities of character do they recommend to us so that we might be happier individuals, more responsible people, better at taking care of our communities, and so forth.
Are we engaged in our own Marvel Universe Civil War when we're talking about the midterms and the never-ending fight of divisiveness versus civility in politics?
Well, you're gonna have to tell me, Kevin, are the streets of Boise quite the same as Portland or Berkeley right now?
No, we're on our own little microverse here, yes.
Yeah, but I'm sure that as everywhere right now, the unpleasantness is sort of all over online. Our social media feeds are full of nothing but incivility these days. And I think part of that's because our imaginations, our attentions are always focused on the national scale, where everything is pitched at a catastrophic level, as if we are pitched in the middle of some sort of cosmic battle of this sort where you've got, the Avengers fighting the aliens in the sky, and you have to, cower in fear and root on your side for fear that some sort of diabolical, cataclysm will befall us all unless the people we root for achieve victory, and all of us have to be enlisted in this all-or-nothing contest of us versus them, as if there was an existential threat looming around every corner, like every 3 months in the theaters these days.
Indeed, but there's a new article in the Washington Post where people are afraid to talk these days, and that really is counter to what you're talking about with superhero ethics and having the courage to take on issues. People just don't want to be harassed or be embraced by the incivility. They want to go to a restaurant and hang out, or not have their business, targeted, or just don't want to deal with the stress.
No, I know that's really discouraging, isn't it? I mean, people now think that their cell phones constitute their superpowers, and they can use them to humiliate and destroy people's lives like Iron Man would as a repulsors. But, right, I mean, I think about someone like Captain America, who's, famous for being sort of left of center in his politics, but moderate left of center. Captain America is sort of portrayed as an old-fashioned New Deal liberal, but he's the sort of person that would never check your social media feed first to decide whether or not he agreed or disagreed with you before he came to your rescue, but there was an understanding that whatever ways in which we disagree with each other and differ from each other, there's a more fundamental and essential commonality among citizens that needs to be respected, and that even the people we disagree with need to be treated with respect and dignity.
Is that lost today?
No, let's not be too alarmist and say it's lost, but there are definitely those who would like to see it deteriorate further for their own gain. And so I am, concerned with the way in which, with our attention on our cable news channels and our social media feeds, rather than our actual neighbors and community members, where, we're sort of forced to be more civil when you're talking to actual people face to face, that we're presently prone to being manipulated by people who have power and profit to make off of our becoming increasingly alarmed and isolated from each other and atomized, and that instead I recommend that we remind ourselves and each other that we're capable of having conversations in which we are able to disagree with civility, rather than have screaming matches, because nobody's ever persuaded to change their mind when someone just gets in your face and says you're evil and confronts you like you're a supervillain, and they have to play the superhero and smash you.
Travis Smith joining us, the author of Superhero Ethics. He's an associate professor of political science at Concordia University. Finally, the best superhero movie ever made, in your opinion? Talking about realism and all that, what would it be?
Oh, boy, the best superhero movie. Well, I can only tell you my favorites are. I don't know if their objective standards are the best. I remain nostalgic for Superman 2 in my youth.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire and Dr. Octopus. I thought that the metaphors in that film were fine regarding when people try to use technology in order to have more have powers that are going to go awry. And Logan from last year, I think, is also among the best as well.
Not The Dark Knight.
I've never been too partial to Batman. I know I'm in the minority of comic book fans.
Right.
And I know that piety says Batman wins every fight, because that's us human beings patting ourselves on the back by being confident that we can tackle anything. And that's an admirable attitude to have. But I find that Batman, it's as fascinating as these stories are. I think, he is as terrifying as he presents himself to be. And you wouldn't want to actually live like Bruce Wayne, however much money he's got, and you certainly wouldn't want to live in Gotham City and depend on a Batman.
I'm with you, but the Heath Ledger portrayal of the Joker alone, and I'm a big fan of that campy sitcom with Adam West and Burt Ward and Cesar Romero, to me was...
Oh, I grew up on that, yeah.
Yeah, was the Joker incarnate, but Heath Ledger's portrayal of this realistic Joker, to me...
Yeah, no, I appreciate what I think the Joker represents. I think Batman represents the desire to impose a rational moral order on the world through our willpower and technological means, which, in our society, some people wish they could do.
Right.
They could, force everybody to do the right thing in accordance with their conception of what would be just, and bring, and terrify everybody else that don't fall in line and live in what they take to be the enlightened and the right way to be. But Batman's origin was a tragic one. And so it's sort of like people who think that we can impose a rational order on a tragic cosmos, which may be something that's beyond our human abilities, and maybe something that if we were to attempt it, will have all kinds of side effects and unfortunate byproducts as a result of that attempt to impose that kind of order on things by coercive measures. And the Joker represents, the flip side of that, which is to say, well, no, if you have a tragic cosmos, the only rational reaction is to laugh. But of course, the Joker takes that to an extreme in the other direction and revels in the tragic, which is the sort of extreme reaction. But it's a reaction that's based on a sort of sensible apprehension of the fact that trying to impose a rational order coercively on a world that retains tragic elements is something that is both somewhat misguided as a project.
And that's pretty deep for a comic book.
Well, I like to think that these stories, even though they're often regarded as written for children, if they have some lasting appeal, some enduring power, they speak to something fundamental in the human condition. They relate even if in sort of juvenile amusement form, ideas and concepts that must speak to us in some fundamental way. Otherwise, they wouldn't have this enduring power. And there's a long tradition in all forms of literature where stories that you think are just for kids aren't really just for kids. If we give them some further thought, they might tell us something about ourselves.
Very insightful. Travis Smith, the author of Superhero Ethics. Once again, we appreciate you, and good luck and continued success. I assume you can get the book at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and other places?
That's right. Amazon has it both in print and on Kindle. It's also available in stores with Barnes & Noble and wherever fine books are sold, as far as I know. Kevin, thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Take care.
Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up next, as Maggie is reporting all morning, the Idaho Fish and Game Commissioner, who was under fire, resigns in the wake of the controversial photos of his African hunt. Were the photos of the dead baboons and the dead giraffe enough to cause him to hang up the laces? We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. KIDO Talk Radio time is 8:22. Don't forget, tomorrow, Bill O'Reilly joins us at 7:35. So here we have it, as we've heard from our friends at Channel 7. We've got Blake Fisher resigning. He was a Fish and Game Commissioner. He gave Governor Otter his letter of resignation, saying, I have high expectations and standards for every appointee in state government, the governor said. Every member of my administration is expected to exercise good judgment. Commissioner Fisher did not. Accordingly, I've accepted his resignation from the Idaho Fish and Game Department. By the way, you can read about this on KIDOTalkRadio.com. Fisher, in his letter to the governor, admitted he used poor judgment in sharing photos of his hunt, which he did not display an appropriate level of sportsmanship and respect for the animals. Now, if you're just tuning in or you're just coming back from a long weekend, the photos showed Fisher and his wife posing with numerous animals they killed in the country of Namibia, whatever. One photo showed Fisher posing with a family of dead baboons. Last week, Fred Travey, a former Fish and Game Commissioner, sent an email to Fisher expressing his disappointment, said he shouldn't have been smiling with the family of the dead baboons that he shot. And it comes down to this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, and those of you that hunt regularly, those of you that, and I've had friends of mine that have, gone to Africa and shot the big game and that sort of thing, and they like that, and they talk about the thrill of the hunt. They talk about going in and shooting these folks. Now, I guess the Idaho Fish and Game Commissioner, that's an appointed position. And with any type of public position, you have to wonder, with all due respect to Mr. Fisher and his wife, what they were thinking. And this is not to beat up on them, but look, on any type of social media outlet, you just can't misbehave anymore. Now, it's fascinating that the former Fish and Game Commissioners have said that that was disrespectful to the animals. I love animals. Animals are my life. But I've never heard that before, that posting a photo of what you shot is disrespectful to the animals. And you think about this, you're in a statewide appointed position. Is it really smart to be doing this type of behavior in the world we live in today? Your call's next. First, traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio.
Missouri Gabbard.
Let's go to the phones. Holly in Caldwell. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
You know, with this whole issue, Kevin, the biggest concern, I think we would agree, is that the public and the media have tried to become the judge and jury. And while what this guy did may not have been overly smart because of the way Facebook and things work, should he have to resign a position when he didn't break any laws? And I think it's scary. We saw this down in Florida with the whole gun issue, and this whole, it kind of fuels the social justice warriors where they think the loudest person wins, and that's not how it works in a republic. So. Well,
I would agree with you on that. Again, it's who can, the media, it's like, who can we get to be, run from office? Who can we destroy? Who can we do all these things? But, what I'd like to know from the hunters is there such a thing called that you respect the animals? I mean, I see stuff on social media all the time, whether it's wolves, whether it's deer, and people that hunt, they're very proud of what they've done. Doesn't mean that you're into it.
And if people don't like it, then change the laws. But if he didn't break any laws, and should he have to resign from his position just because people are upset? And it seems like emotion is running so many things instead of laws any longer.
Well, here's the idea. Does poor judgment get you the boot?
Right. It kind of like the Papa John pizza thing and, all these stupid things that it seems like, we got to get people to get a hold of their emotions and realize, what the laws really are and how to actually accurately go about changing things. If they don't like the guy out shooting baboons, then find ways to help change the laws. But should he have to resign his position when he didn't break any laws? I don't know. I think and then the whole other side of it is it's interesting how people can get this upset about baboons, but they promote abortion.
You're right. You're right about that.
So anyway, it's more than anything is it would be nice to, it's almost like, maybe we need to get rid of social media if people are going to get this wound up and crazy and they misinterpret the other person's point because it's the written word and they get all wound up on their issue. And, we have a lot more in common than people think if they would just think clearly, but it's way too easy to get on the news and places and get a tiny soundbite and form an opinion when you really don't have all the facts.
But it comes down to this generational shift when you have people that, when they're promoting fights and stuff, they'll say mean things. And then you have the reporters going, well, should they be allowed to say it? Well, they're promoting fights. They're doing, the idea of free speech seems to be at stake these days.
Totally at stake. And then whoever has the most money or the access, thank goodness we have your show because how many other places are there for conservatives to say anything? And then the other big issue is there aren't very many people that are brave enough to say a whole lot anymore. And so we don't hear that other side of the opinion very often. We just hear some of this crazy crap. And so anyway, where do we go with that? So.
Well, Paulette says hello.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Holly.
Well, thanks. Have a great day.
You too. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. That's in reference to the debate last night between Brad Little and Paulette Jordan. Paulette got a little in Lieutenant Governor's face about education. Really didn't make a lot of sense. She was asked one tough question, in my opinion, by Cynthia Sewell of The Statesman. She didn't answer it. It goes to show you that Paulette in my opinion, is not ready for prime time. Brad Little rolls very easily. You heard it here first. Kevin Miller, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. I do want to remind you it is another year of cold, another year of holidays, another year of need. And won't you join us in the Boise Rescue Mission? Miller's Mission kicking off in the month of November. We'll be partnering with our friends at KTSY Radio. We'll be at all the Walmarts. That's right. Every Walmart. You can ask them for turkey bucks, and that money will be used to feed Treasure Valley families throughout the holiday season, throughout the Thanksgiving and Christmas season. And don't forget, the 12th through the 17th, you can hang out with us at the Walmart, Garrity Road and Franklin Boulevard. We will be living there, thanks to our friends at Camping World. Appreciate them. Team Mazda Subaru and the Boise Rescue Mission. We do this twice a year. In the fall is our big kickoff, if you will, right before Thanksgiving, right before Christmas. Those turkeys, those non-perishable food items, those food items will be used to directly feed Treasure Valley families for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. We gather so many turkeys that we hope to feed folks for the entire year. It's a very humbling process. And to everyone who works in the nonprofit community, whether it's St. Vincent de Paul, whether it's the Boise Rescue Mission, the Interfaith Sanctuary, the Marine Canine Rescue folks, and so many more, we appreciate your great work when it comes to making a difference in the lives of people here in the Treasure Valley. Before we get back to your phone calls, Michaela and Cuna, hang on. Let's go to Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern, live from Capitol Hill on KIDO Talk Radio. Jared, good morning.
Good morning.
So, we've got a big announcement concerning health from the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Well, his idea is right now just a proposal. It still has to go through a lot of the bureaucratic process. But the idea would be that all of those drug commercials that you see on TV would have to include the list price for that drug, so long as it's over $35 a month and covered through Medicare and Medicaid. The idea from the administration's point of view, from HHS point of view, is that this adds transparency to drug prices. One of the aims of this administration has been to lower prescription drug prices. There's not a lot of ways you can do that with government control, but one way they believe is to at least give consumers more information, drive consumer behavior, and sort of through that process bring down the cost of prescription drugs, or at least show what that drug would cost. Now, the argument from obviously drug companies is that this isn't information that's useful to consumers because most people do not pay the list price for a prescription drug. You pay a much lower price based on whatever your insurance policy is. And so the argument from the drug company's point of view is this isn't something that's going to be real helpful to patients, to consumers, because the price that they would see on TV would not necessarily be the relevant price for them. What they are doing voluntarily is directing patients to a website. So you would see the commercial. The commercial would include a website. You would then go to that website, and that website would show the price of drugs based on different sort of insurance coverage plans.
I was hoping that they'd actually share more of the side effects.
Well, that's already required. That's usually half the commercial now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really makes you wonder, how much do I need this?
Right, exactly.
But I mean, and honestly, you point that out. That's sort of part of the precedent here that Azar and others have showed is, listen, we already have compelled drug companies to be more transparent in potential side effects for drugs. This is the next logical step. They also think that because that requirement is already in place, it makes this new requirement, this new proposed requirement, less likely to face a successful court challenge, because obviously these administration rules that are not legislative, they are put forward by agencies, can be subject to a court challenge. There could be a lawsuit that would aim to not require them to do this. There have been some that have pointed to the requirements of side effects and say, listen, we already require them to say this, so listing the price of the drug is not a far reach beyond what they're already required to do.
Well, Jared, we appreciate it. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see what happens. I still love your comment on the side effects.
Take care.
Thank you, Jared Halpern, joining us. Remember, when you hear Fox News on the radio, you're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to McKaylee in Cuna. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. I just wanted to make a quick comment about the Commissioner of Fish and Game. Being in a position of leadership, you're expected to conduct yourself in a certain manner. And regardless of what the laws are over there in that country, whether it was right of him or not, is beside the point. He did exercise poor taste in the manner that he presented his trophies, if you will. And now I'm all for hunting. I'm all for killing what you're going to eat. But to do what he did, yeah, I think that was a little over the top. But on the flip side, to go with the previous caller who talked about the abortions not being mentioned, I agree 100% that if all these people are going to whine about what a hunter is doing or not doing, they need to be just as vocal when it comes to the extermination of innocent life. So on that note, I wanted to make that point. And as far as, real quick, Liberal Steve, when you call, you better just keep your mouth shut and listening to Kevin Miller. And Paulette Jordan, you bit off more than you can chew. So other than that, Kevin, keep up the good fight. I appreciate it, and keep America great.
Thank you, McKaylee. We appreciate you. God bless and have a great day. We're joined by the publisher of the Gem State Patriot, Tea Party Bob, gemstatepatriot.com. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today? You sound like you're just full of your kind of piss and vinegar. Is that correct?
Those would be your words, not mine. I like I said, it was a night, and I apologize for not letting you know about this. It just kind of snuck up on me, the debate. By the way, if those of you that missed the debate last night, you can watch it on Idaho Public Television. They have it. Just go to On Demand, and you can watch the whole thing. Although, if you're a fan of Paulette Jordan, you can see it all fading away.
Well, I have to tell you, I have to admit, after all the years that I've thought that there was something inherently wrong with Liberal Steve and the way he thinks, today he really proved me right. This man has either lost it or he is just playing your audience. I think he really has lost it. A couple comments about Hillary Clinton. I'd like to start with the fact that the real tragedy of her comments is it shows how morally bankrupt our nation has become. When you look at the amount of the popular vote that she received during 2016, none of these people seem to be informed whatsoever in the electorate that voted for her. And how she got half the country to vote for her tells me basically that they have lost their moral and ethical values also. This woman came within a hair's breadth of becoming the president of our country, and I shudder to think of what America would look like after 4 years of her presidency. It is nothing but scary. And it shows you how bad things have become and how the left would rather have a president who is morally bankrupt than a Donald Trump who's actually turned the country around. And I only pray that people understand how perilously close we came to losing our country and that it's still possible if we have a change of power in Congress. And as for Ms. Jordan, speaking as a non-member of the Idaho Press Club, as much as I have my druthers with Brad Little, at least he has a brain in his head and is a good person with decent moral and ethical values. Jordan is acting and speaking like she has no experience and no clues as to what the real problems are in Idaho, and she certainly hasn't got a clue as how to fix them. I don't disagree with her comments that we have a good deal of corruption in the state, but I would rather deal with the corruption than to deal with Ms. Jordan as the chief executive of our state for 4 years. I only wish that Brad Little would understand how bad this Medicaid expansion would be for Idaho and come out against it. This program is going to eventually cost the taxpayers, not just in terms of additional taxes in the future, but a shift in revenues from the important budget items like education. And that's about all I got for this morning, my friend.
Tea Party Bob, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Brian in Nampa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Kevin. I'm sorry. I'm a hard old grandpa that was born and raised in Idaho.
Sure.
And I grew up on a ranch. I got a question for everybody if they think this commissioner was appropriate. Are we going to start firing people because the Boise Co-op puts vegetables up for display to eat? There's a bigger issue here. Are you going to belittle somebody when they put pictures of their garden up? I was raised on a farm. We grew a big garden. When you are raised out in the country like that, you respect all life, not just animals, plants, trees, vegetables. You understand it gives you life, and you're grateful for that. Does this commissioner need to be canned over it? No. It's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Everybody talks about, are we getting too soft? Are we getting too PC? Idaho, you are. Everybody needs to go out on a farm. Respect life. Would I put pictures like that up? No. But I live in a free country. He's free to do what he wants. He works for the Fish and Game, correct? It's all about hunting. If people don't think that's about selling tags and hunting and everything, the good and the bad that comes with that, they need to grow up. That's what I got, Kevin. Got any questions for me?
What do you make of Paulette Jordan?
Don't care for her, never did. Obviously, she wants to remove my Second Amendment rights. She's the PC kind of people I'm talking about that want this commissioner to go, but we need to look at not only Paulette Jordan, but the rhinos in our own state that think it's appropriate for a guy to resign over pictures like this. It's ridiculous. You're right, she's worse, but we need to get to why are we following these PC ideas? Because we got an influx of people coming in that weren't raised on farms, that weren't raised on ranches, that don't have any clue to this kind of lifestyle. They can talk about, different cultures with different lifestyles and how we shouldn't be judgmental of them. Well, what did they do to this commissioner? They judged him. And that's what's going on. Would I do what he did? No, I don't mount animals. I don't hang furs. I don't do that. But I respect people that do. And I give them the correct republic freedom, not democratic freedom, to live their life the way they want to as long as it doesn't affect my life. And him doing this doesn't affect me. If you're so soft and so PC that you can't deal with that, then you need to go spend some time in a prison, in a hospital, and on a farm and learn some things and grow up.
Brian, great call. Thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio.
You bet. Bye.
Coming up next, we'll talk more about the governor's race and the commissioner resigning. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. Thank you, Ray Amaya. Back to your phone calls. We go to Jim in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, sir. I watched the debate last night. I'm not feeling it for Miss Jordan. I'm independent. I don't know why I say why anymore. I haven't voted Democratic, candidates in about 5 years, but it sounds like Hillary 2.0. I don't feel the kind of connection. It just feels, fast talking and shady. No, I do think that, I didn't necessarily like Trump either, but out of the two, I liked him better than Hillary, and I think he's doing a good job, and I plan to vote for him again. But I'm not feeling it from Miss Jordan, honestly. Brad Little, again, he wasn't my pick. I wanted Royal Labrador, but out of the two, I'm going to vote for Brad Little. But I don't feel like the connection to hearing her talk, that kind of thing. I didn't feel it, and that's the big thing to me about how I feel about how they, talk, what they're saying. They draw me in.
I don't feel any connection. She makes a lot of statements that make no sense.
That's why I said it sounded a lot like Hillary 2.0. When I listened to those debates, same thing there. I didn't feel the connection with her either.
She reminds me more of Obama.
Well, I voted for Obama in 8. I didn't vote for him in 12. But,
Right.
That's why I say independent. I haven't voted independent in 5 years. I've been Republican.
Sure.
All right, you have a good morning.
Thank you, Jim. Pro-Life joins us now with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Good morning. we have a lot of people moving here from the coastal states and some from Nevada and all over the place. And they're moving here because we have better morals, and we have a better, I guess you'd say, Christian society. And these people are moving here because of those reasons, not necessarily economic reasons. They believe that abortion is murder, and they don't want to have sexual perversion, and they're disgusted with theft by socialism, and we have enough of that here already. And in the governor's debate, they had no talk about morals, and that's pretty sad. But that's how we draw people to Idaho, is by having...
Well, what do you make of Miss Jordan?
Well, everybody's criticizing her. Of course, she's going to lose. But she made one point.
What do you make of Miss Jordan?
Well, I don't want her to be the governor. I think that...
do you find her credible?
No, she's just trying to be a slick politician. I mean, she's not being honest about hardly anything. She's more liberal than she's holding herself out to be, about guns and about hunting and about all kinds of different things. She did make one point about insurance. Maybe the state should be self-insuring, and if we're sending our state employees to an insurance company like Blue Cross Blue Shield, that might be a big mistake. That's the only thing I saw that she said anything that was good about it. But our problem is morality. If we have the most moral state in the United States, we will be the most popular state for the right kind of people. And the people moving here, lots of them are better than the people we already have here. And people don't like to think about they think they're liberals coming here. They're not. I know a bunch of them. Some of them are moving here to associate with us, and they're not liberal at all. They're more conservative than Idahoans in general. So anyway, Kevin, you're doing a good job there, and I think we just need to stick with Jesus Christ and repent of our sins and just really be the right kind of a place, that there's a place of refuge for people in the United States to come to.
God bless pro-life.
All right, we'll see you.
Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Tess, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
So I heard Cynthia Sewell's question, and I had a question of my own about an hour ago. So I went to the Secretary of State to look at Ms. Jordan's expenditures and funds she'd gotten, and it's quite a bit. But she made a really interesting expenditure out of her campaign funds to it's the National Indian Gaming Association. So I went to their site, and she's on their board of directors. And maybe someone needs to ask, why are you paying? You're a board of director. You're on the gaming association that's affiliated with the casinos. Why are you making those payments? Just kind of want to know. And then you can go look at the Foundation Center 990 site and look at their assets here. So I did not know she sat on a board of directors for a big gaming group. So just want to ask
there's a lot of things we don't know about her.
Mm-hmm. True. I can't really
you
find
got Cynthia
much bio.
Sewell, God bless her, and she didn't answer the question. She should be disqualified from running right there for not answering the people's question. Tess, I got to run. Thank you.
Yep.
Stay tuned, everybody. Glenn Beck's next. Ray Maya, great job as always. God bless and keep the faith, everyone.